I aim to give the most detailed technique-driven tutorials that are available on YouTube. And today it gives me really great pleasure to present this absolute jewel of a song, Caro Mio Ben. At first glance, it seems reasonably simple, but like many things, it has hidden depths. And by the end of this tutorial, you'll have mastered everything that you need to create that beautiful legato line and the dynamic contrasts, which have actually secured this aria a place on the concert platform of many a famous and not so famous concert singer, most notably, of course, Pavarotti, my hero, and his famous White Handkerchief. As always, I'll be breaking the aria down into its component pieces. If you're an experienced singer, you might feel that you want to jump straight ahead to the technique section. But I would say, regardless of your experience, there's always something that you can learn from the rest of my videos. So equally, feel free to stick with it and listen to a little bit about the background, because you need to know all this stuff when you're singing the aria, and you need to know your translation and all that kind of thing. So here we go, with no further ado, getting into the background of this song. So many people think it's an aria from an opera, but actually it isn't. It's written in that style, and it's from that period in history where the great bel canto tradition of opera writing was just really starting to take over, came over from Italy to the UK. And actually it's an Italian family that are credited with composing this aria, but they were living in London at the time. So it's actually, in my copy, it's credited to Giuseppe Giordani, but actually now it's believed that it was his brother, Tommaso Giordani, who actually wrote this beautiful aria. It's an absolute classic breakup song. So it's all about your beloved treating you really, really meanly, probably because of something you've done. So you're trying to win back their favor and their trust. So that's a little bit about what the aria is about. And in terms of how popular it is, I mean, it's just so well known, but it was used by Lulu Wang in the film The Farewell as well, so it featured very heavily in that particular film, but there have been others too. First things first, it is in 4/4 time, which means there are 4 crotchets in a bar, and I'll talk it through to the rhythm so you get to hear how the text is pronounced, to the rhythm that the song goes at. We'll talk about keys a little bit later. You don't need to know that just now because we're just talking it through. So I'll do this slightly more slowly than I will when we come to do the sing-along, just to give you a chance to hear some of the vowel elisions, because there are quite a few in this song. So what we have are 2 beats rest before you sing, and this is our crotchet pulse. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So breathing for these 2 beats. Caro mio ben, credimi almen, senza di te languisce il cor. And then you've got 4 spare beats for a breath. Caro mio ben, senza di te languisce il cor. And the flicked out on the 3rd beat. Then there's a bar for nothing. 3, breathing. 1, 2. Il tuo fedel sospira ognor, cessa crudel tantori igor, cessa crudel tantori igor, tanto rigor. Caro mio ben. It's all the same text as the beginning. Credimi almen, senza di te languisce il cor. Caro mio ben, credimi almen, senza di te. There's a pause on that one, and then for languisce il cor. And again, the flicked R on the third beat. Translation-wise, you'll have probably noticed with the text that it's A, B, back to A in structure, and it's the same when the tune comes in. You have the A section with the A section text, then there's a middle section which is slightly, well, quite a lot more impassioned, and then we get back to the A section again, both in music and text. So caro mio ben, my beloved dearest, credimi almen, believe me at least this much, senza di te languisce il cor, without you my heart languishes. Then that repeats, caro mio ben, all the same text. And then the middle section, il tuo fedel sospira ogno, your faithful one sighs always. So I'm saying I sigh because you've made me so unhappy by being so cross with me. Cessa crudel, cease cruel one, such rigor. Tanto rigor, rigor is harshness, I suppose. Cease cruel one, such harshness. And then we get back to the caro mio ben again, and it's just slightly more kind of wheedling by then. Please forgive me. I promise I'll try harder. So here we go. I have chosen E flat major, which is the most common key. It's available in lots and lots of different keys. You'll find PDFs online, lots of backing tracks, accompaniment tracks that you can find online on YouTube. So you can actually have a lot of fun with this aria doing the whole karaoke thing. You must warm up your voice. You always have to have a really good warm-up before you start tackling any of these songs that I present on the channel. Don't think that just because it's Caro Mio Ben and it's considered maybe to be quite easy that you can get away without doing a really good, at least a 10-minute warm-up to get your voice going. It's actually got some really tricky technical things in it. It needs a lot of sustaining. And it's got some interesting little twiddles and turns, and you need the vocal flexibility to be working for that. I would add into my warm-up for this particular aria, at the very end it's got this little figure. So I would just make a few little warbly exercises around that. And then when I come back to do it at pitch, it should seem a little bit easier when we actually get to that point. There is a tendency with this aria to go really, really slowly. You'll hear some versions on YouTube that are so slow, they almost fall over because it's almost like the next step is never coming. They're so slow. And actually, it's quite a passionate aria, and I don't think it should be too slow. Plus it's got some really long phrases in it, and they're easier if you don't go too slowly. So here we go. Technical section. First thing, you've got a long introduction which gives you the tune. So start thinking about breathing now. Breath, credimi almen, breath, senza di te languisce il cor. So the technical things in this opening, I've actually done 3 phrases. K, pitch the K of caro on the note. then there's a comma. So you've laid out your stall, if you like. Dearest my beloved, breath. Credimi almen. Believe me, at least this much, what I'm telling you. Senza di te languisce il cor. Without you, my heart languishes. Senza has that little T sound in the middle. It looks like senza, but senza. Di te languisce il cor. Now, there are a couple of things in there that are difficult. Going from the te la, it's really easy to drop te la. You don't want to do that. So te, keeping nice and sustained, so keeping the air flowing, and then making sure you pitch the L on the lower note, which is the E flat. Te la, la. So you'll see that I just lingered on the L sound a little bit, pitching it on the note and just letting some air through it. Te languisce il, and then that's just tricky. Guisce il. La te languisce il cor. And then just a little flicked R if you can on beat 3 of the next bar. Carrying on, we'll come back to all of that because it does repeat. There's a little piano then, or accompaniment iteration of the tune, loud, and then you come in and you're quieter because you're responding to what the piano has just done, but it is the same Caro Mio ben text and a development of the theme. So this time you've got 2 beats to take a breath. Caro mio ben, senza di te languisce il cor. And the R that time is on beat 3. All the same things apply. Pitch the K on the note. Caro mio ben. Breath, and it needs to be a big breath. Senza di te languisce il cor. So this time your te goes up, and the same thing applies in that you don't want it to sag. Te. Now, if you keep the vowel the same for both notes, the B flat and the E flat, you don't want to close down. Te. Don't want that sound. So nice open. Te. Then pitch the next L on the lower note. Languisce il cor. So there's quite a lot in that little phrase. I'll do it again so you can sing along with me. Things to remember are breathe early, pitch the consonants on the notes. Even though this phrase is piano, you don't want your consonants to be small. You actually need to keep your consonants big and energized and dramatic. Caro mio ben, senza di te languisce il cor. R on the 3rd beat. Then there's a little piano interlude. Again, it's loud. Then the B section thematically comes in. And this is the bit I'm sighing for you, stop being so mean to me. So I think you've probably done something that has annoyed your girlfriend or boyfriend, and they are really giving you the cold shoulder and making you work for their forgiveness. So this is quite passionate, but it starts quietly because you've got a really big building crescendo coming. So breathing for 1 and 2. Il tuo fedele sospiranior. So you'll see that I did a really long, slow burning crescendo, and I went through il tuo fedele sospiranior. So sospiranior is the text there. Sospira. So you can make ra into 2 semiquavers so that you can fit each of those vowel sounds onto the E flat. Sospira. So I'm just going to do that one more time so that you get to hear and feel that really long crescendo going through. Now really loud. So this is the loudest phrase that you've had so far. Cease, stop being so cruel. Chesa crudel, you can grab a breath there because you're going to need it. Pitch the ch of chesa on the F. Chesa crudel, tanto rigor. Keep the volume on because you are going to do a diminuendo now. So you repeat the text, but with an accent. Chesa crudel, and the diminuendo there. So again, Chesa crudel, quietly now. Tanto rigor, tanto rigor. Now there's a writ here. So a writ is when we slow down and we're going to come to either a complete stop or an almost complete stop. And what happens here is you pass the music between the piano and the voice. So we have tanto rigor, passionate but writting. Tanto rigor. So as the piano takes over underneath the voice, you're going to take a big quiet breath because now you need to be really, really quiet for the reiteration of the A theme. Remember, you're wheedling now. You really want this person to forgive you. You've tried shouting. You've tried being reasonable. Now you're bringing your last armory out to try and win them back over. Caro mio ben, breath. Credi mio men, building all through that. Senza di te languisce il cor. So all of that will be familiar from the first time around. And then, as with all Baroque music, all music from this period, you have some little ornaments. Now, they're editorial in my copy, but they're really pretty. So instead of just doing Caro mio ben for the next phrase, we do this instead. Caro mio ben, credi mio men. So the ka comes just before the beat. So if you imagine it without the twiddle, we've had Guisce il cor, ka, and you don't want to interfere with that rhythm, so you have to put the ka just ahead of the beat so that the a sound on the C still comes where it should, right on the third beat. So if I go from Guisce il cor, caro mio ben, credi mio men. And again, you're building through that one. And then for our big finish, senza di te. So here you've got a pause on the lower note, and you can opt not to do that little twiddle if you want to. Again, it's editorial and it's stylistic. It's from the period, you know, adding ornaments vocally. But there is a pause on the senza di te. So you can do that version if you want to. I like the twiddle. I think it can be I see it as being my absolute last effort. You know, a bit like those birds that fluff their tails up and do all sorts of, you know, things with their plumage to try and attract a partner. This is you doing a vocal flourish to try and get your partner to forgive you for whatever it is you've done. So I do the flourish. Senza di te. Then remember that you've had a writ and this chord happens before you sing the last entry. So on the fourth beat, you hear a chord, which you have to wait for. Languisce il cor. And again, your R is on the third beat. Well done. You've made it through to the end of the technical section. It's people like you that take their singing really, really seriously that I make these videos for. So thank you for watching and supporting the channel. You know what's coming next. It's the P word. Practice, practice, practice. The good thing about singing, there are many good things about singing, obviously. One of the really good things about singing is that a lot of the things that I'll be teaching you in today's aria are transferable to other things as well. So things like breathing early, pitching your consonants on the notes, they're things that you'll practice for this aria, but you'll be able to sing them, you'll be able to use that tip with anything else that you sing because it's completely relevant to everything that you're doing vocally. One special singing tip that I will give you for this aria is a tip that, so I learned this aria when I was quite young, and this was a tip that I was given by my first singing teacher. And she used to say that the best way to practice your Italian is to pretend to be Italian. So she would make me walk around the studio saying, Caro mio ben, credimi almen, senza di te languisce il cor, just trying to sound as Italian as I possibly could. Now, given that I was probably only about 14 and my experience of Italy and Italians was an Italian restaurant, I probably sound like I was in the kitchen barking instructions. But it did help me to get an understanding of how important it is to say the words and really enunciate them clearly. So that's my singing tip for this particular aria. Pretend to be Italian. Performance-wise, I've told you quite a little bit, you know, a reasonable amount about what it's about. And because it doesn't come from an opera, it's just a standalone piece. So there's no kind of backstory to set it up for you. You just have to really put yourself in this person's position. So I think what you have to think about, if you've ever upset your boyfriend or girlfriend unintentionally, and they've been so cross with you that they haven't wanted to talk to you for a little while, you have to channel those feelings of total remorse and also possibly there's an element of, oh, they can't be cross with me for much longer, you know, especially by the time you get to the end. So I think your mood needs to change through the performance of your piece. So at the beginning, I think you're full of remorse. Caro mio ben, credimi almen. Please believe me. It wasn't my intention to upset you. And then the il tuo fedel sospiragno. You're perhaps, a little bit cross that they're being so mean to you, but you also know that being grumpy about it isn't going to win them back. So you're showing your passion here. And then when you get back to the Caro mio ben, credimi almen, as I said before, it's perhaps a little bit more wheedling. It's like that kind of, oh, come on, you can't be cross with me forever kind of thing. So they're your three distinct moods, I think, for the song. And now it's time for the sing-along, which is my favourite part. Caro mio ben, credimi almen, senza di te languisce il cor. Caro mio ben, senza di te languisce il cor. Il tuo fedel sospiranior cessa crudel tanto rigor, cessa crudel tanto rigor, tanto rigor. Caro mio ben, credimi almen, senza di te languisce il cor. Caro mio ben, credimi almen, senza di te languisce il cor. Please feel free to check out my other song tutorials, like, share and subscribe. And if you want to do your bit for poor starving artists, then please feel free to become a member, and you can also purchase singing lessons online at singinglessons.online. See you next time.